There's absolutely other ways to get a good work ethic, but sports are such an easy way to accomplish that. A good attitude and a good work ethic will absolutely take you a long way, even if you don't, maybe don't know the best answer. Being able to adapt and change what you're doing on the fly is really important.
Produced by Podcast Architects.
Welcome back to another episode of The Path Forward. As always, I'm your host, Dr. Rick Fernandez, where we talk education, innovation, and the blending of the two. So we have a very special episode today, one I've been looking forward to for quite some time. And I need to thank a couple of people before we jump in. First, I'd like to thank our leadership at Anser Advisory for helping me make some of this happen. Brian Carruthers, our CEO, Adam Shaw, our Chief Delivery Officer, Corey Burbach, one of our vice presidents, our Mountain West team, Travis and his crew over there for helping us out. This has been very special for all of us, and we're looking forward to continuing our robust internship program that we have at Anser Advisory. So without further ado, I want to welcome one of our interns, Logan Rayburn. Logan, welcome to the show.
Rick, I really appreciate it. I'm excited to be here, have a conversation with you.
I'm excited as well. So let's just kick it off. Tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, college, and your career goals and aspirations.
Great, thanks. So my name is Logan Rayburn, and I'm a super senior at Colorado School of Mines. I'm coming back for my 9th semester, so this will make it 4.5 years. But I'm coming back so I can wrap up my football career. I've been playing football my entire life. Growing up in Dallas, Texas, football's really big down there, I'm sure as everybody knows. So I've been playing my entire life. This is my last season coming up. I'm getting to take 5 years because COVID hit in 2020, so we didn't get to play that year. So let's see what else.
Career. Tell us a little bit about your career.
Yep. I'm studying business engineering here at Colorado School of Mines. I made the switch from petroleum engineering after my sophomore year, after I had some concerns about the longevity of that industry and also kind of the volatility of it. I didn't want to spend all this money getting this nice mines degree to be in an industry that's constantly up and down. And I don't know if I'll have a job in the next year, so figure people are always going to be doing business. So it's a good skill set to have. So I made that switch. I've been in this curriculum for 2 years now. And it's been great. I've really loved it. Lots of analytical stuff, lots of math, lots of problem stats. It's been really interesting.
Well, good, man. I'm glad you clarified the super senior. I didn't want to make people think that you're like Van Wilder, like you're there for 10 years or something like that. So, like when you started looking and exploring your internships, what did you envision? Like, what was your gut feel about how it all play out? Not necessarily answer one, but just in general.
Well, my idea of what my internship would look like in my head changed a lot throughout the years that I was here at Mines. Obviously, like I said, as a petroleum engineer. When I was thinking about internships in that field, I was picturing lots of stuff in the field, lots of, being on oil rigs out in the dirt, maybe in the middle of nowhere in like the Dakotas or Louisiana or something, staying in a hotel by myself, no friends out there. But then as I switched to business engineering, I was really hoping to be able to get something either here in Denver or back home in Dallas, so I could either be with the team or with family. And I was lucky enough to be able to get that to happen. But as far as the actual internship goes, I was really seeing a lot more of time in the office and a lot more math heavy analytical stuff since I switched over. And I was happy to see that with Anser, I did get a significant amount of time in the field in this internship. I don't want to get into that too soon. I'll let you ask all the questions.
Yeah, let's not spoil the lead there. Yeah. But no, that's a great point, and I think you probably have a picture similar to many other college students. I want to give the audience a starting kind of a perspective of what we were trying to accomplish here with the internship. And really the goal was that we built something for you and for other interns that wasn't just a one-off, right? It wasn't just kind of siloed work, and that you had perspectives from a variety of team members, but also a variety of roles within the organization, because all the roles are changing and evolving very quickly. And as you well now know, we have to cross-team across the country with multiple sectors because so many of our services overlap. So our goal was to really give you a complete experience And that way you could say, hey, that's exactly what I envisioned and what I think I'll love. Or it's like, that role over there may not be for me, but this one over here, which I didn't even know existed, that's something I can sink my teeth in. So that's the perspective that we were trying to not only give you, but build upon for other interns. So can I ask you, from what you envisioned to what in actuality, what were the differences there?
Yeah, like you said, I was not expecting to have so many different types of roles in my internship. I was kind of envisioning you're sitting at a desk all day and somebody walks by with a mound of paperwork this big that is maybe tedious and boring and they don't want to do it. Plop it on your desk and say, get to work, figure it out. But it was nothing like that, and I was able to get a lot of different experiences, like you said, with different people. I was able to work with, I'm not sure if everybody, watching knows this, I'm sure you do, but the Mountain West office, they do lots of asbestos abatement, which was a world that I knew literally nothing about. I was telling Matt Little, the guy at that office that I was working with most of the time, that I knew that we were having to take asbestos out of buildings. I knew that was happening, but I wasn't, I never put any thought to it about it being an industry as a whole, and I learned about all the different roles that exist within just that industry alone, within the kind of greater construction consulting kind of industry. So that was great. I mean, everything that I learned about asbestos abatement was fresh. I was starting from starting from nothing. So everything I learned was something, which was great. And then towards the end of the summer, I got to move more into the kind of the owner's rep portion of what we do with Luis Covarrubias in the Denver office as opposed to the Greeley office. So that was great. I was able to learn a lot about, I was handling most of the FF&E installation, which again, I really knew nothing about. So it was a great educational summer overall, getting to dive into things that, I really hadn't learned about at all in the classroom.
No, I mean, that you bring up a great point, and I know you're joking about hazing, but man, that's one of the worst things that happens, right? We get these interns, or we get somebody that's fresh out of college and excited as can be. Then you slam them with this drudge work that kills all the excitement and kills all the energy and the enthusiasm, and as if it's some type of rite of passage to do that. Where instead, our goal was to put you in a position to see all of it, right? The paperwork that has to come along with the due diligence, but also the work in the field, and then everything in between. Not just, hey, can you run 10,000 copies for meetings or what have you. I mean, that's really not what we want to do, and I personally don't believe that's what any company should be doing, is just killing you with drudge work, because it's the quickest way to kill enthusiasm.
Yeah, absolutely.
What would you say is the biggest surprise from the internship?
It's a good question. Like I said, I was shocked by almost everything I was doing. I think the biggest surprise I had was the amount of time I spent in the field. I was not ready for that really at all. And even when I was doing the FF&E installation later in the summer, especially then, I was on site practically all day. And if I needed to do some paperwork or something, I would just find like an office set up where, the other contractor supervisors were at and hammer something out. But I was expected to be in the office the whole time. And I was really probably in the office only like, I don't know, 30% of the amount of time that I was on the clock. I was really in the field a lot, which was great. So I was able to see different phases of construction projects being underway. When I was up in with the mountain office, everything was bare bones. Pretty much all the schools and projects we were at, everything had just been torn down, and we were working on removing all the asbestos-containing materials, stuff like that. And then by the time I was doing the owner's rep stuff and FF&E installation, it was much more finished products, and we were just getting furniture installed into buildings. So everything was painted, all the new floorings were in, everything was done. So that was nice to be able to get to see processes or projects through the different phases of completion. That was nice.
That's pretty awesome. The FF&E is such a critical piece, particularly for schools in our realm of what is actually going to go in the buildings and what that setup is going to look like. So it's great that you got to see that perspective and that part of the process, because that's valuable as well. Okay, Logan, I want to pick your brain on something from your coursework. Give me a perspective on which skills are overemphasized in the classroom and which skills are underemphasized.
I'm going to start with underemphasized. I think that one's a little bit easier, has a more clear-cut answer. I think it's adaptability. I think so often in your coursework, exactly what's coming in, especially in this kind of digital age. You know what's coming down the line. So many of my classes, week one, day one, syllabus day, they'll already have the full schedule laid out for the entire semester. And, maybe along the way, there'll be a change here or there, miss for a snow day or something like that. But for the most part, exactly what all of your days in that class are going to look like for the coming months. And it was, it's nothing like that when you get out into industry and in the office. So I would say being able to adapt and change what you're doing on the fly is really important and not really talked about much. It's hard to say having only done an internship, because so many of the concrete skills are what are overemphasized with the analytical skills and, doing different analytics through Excel and stuff like, because I just wasn't doing much of that in this internship. But I would say absolutely that the ability to change and be quick on your feet is not talked about nearly enough in schools, and especially in the different programs. I'm in business engineering, but like my friends in mechanical engineering and computer science, they especially have very rigid curriculums, and they know exactly what they're going to do. And you don't have to deal with many multifaceted problems where, maybe something from this class comes into play, this class comes into play. In school, it's all just like, okay, I'm just focusing on business analytics right now, and I'm focusing on econometrics here. But in reality, they'll probably mesh more than they absolutely will mesh more, definitely more than we're used to in the classroom settings.
Well, I mean, I hope that you got to see a little bit of our cross teaming and how important that is. And that just goes to show you and really drive home the point that you're making, that it doesn't matter which part of the industry you're involved in. You're going to have overlap. You're going to have an understanding of multiple things outside of your specialty. And so the quicker that you can learn that and really lean into some of those components, man, the more successful you'll be. So that's a great pickup along the way, that you see, like, hey, just adapt and learn and ask questions. And even if it's not necessarily your forte, be valuable and learn and move on and be helpful to the process. So kudos to you for doing that.
I appreciate it.
Okay. I've got to talk something a little funny now. So your dad is in the industry.
My dad is in the industry. Yeah.
And you could have had a chance to possibly intern with Dad. Why not? Why choose Anser Advisory and sell Dad's like, it's just not for me?
Well, a little bit of it is probably my own pride and ego, wanting to, strike it out on my own. I get that I'm still going into the same industry and with one company that he works with a lot, very closely.
And let's give a shout out to Joe Rayburn in Building Solutions, who's been a great partner with us and great sports, and have entrusted us to help you along as well. So shout out to them.
Yeah, shout out to my dad. And then maybe another little piece of it is I really love my summers up here in Golden and in Colorado. So the ability to stay up here and be with the team, especially with my last season coming up, I really like to think of myself as a leader in the team. And it's always been really important during these summer workouts that the guys who are going to be making a difference in the upcoming season and, like to assert themselves to be the leader on the team. It's important that they're here. So that was a great added bonus. Obviously, all the time with my friends. And the part that he probably wouldn't like for me to say is that I just got a new girlfriend who lives up here in Colorado. So that was,
it doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
Dad may not like that.
He doesn't bother me. That's the reason I'm up here instead of hanging out with family. But.
He will. So that's all right. We're not editing that. We're not editing that part out. But that's all right.
I wasn't planning on it.
So let me ask you this then. So obviously, senior season, you're knocking it out of the park with your grades. When you graduate, Dad offers you a job, Anser Advisory offers you a job. How do you choose?
Oh, I'm getting put on the spot. Well, definitely both of them will come into play. What job is being offered at either company? That will play a huge role into it. Location, but I think more the role that's being offered to me. Obviously I have a vision in my head of what I'll be doing. I hope it's something that I love and I'm passionate about. But if it's a good paycheck, I'll take that one too. Obviously. I don't know. We just have to see what the specific situation is when we come to it. I don't want to say anything too concrete that Dad can watch before before I absolutely have to.
That's a great middle of the road answer right there. I'm gonna let you off the hook. We'll move on.
Real political answer, yeah.
There you go. There you go. You're learning quickly. That's a fantastic answer.
Yeah.
Okay, I'd be remiss if, and you know my background as a college basketball player, and definitely we connect on all things athletics. So I'd be remiss not asking about your media day for the Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference, and how did that go?
That went great. It was a two-day event, and the first day, our first thing we had was actually all of the students. So 2 guys from the football team of each of I think there's 11 teams in our conference, so it's something like 22 guys. We actually all went to a children's hospital in downtown Denver. And
Nice.
that was a really impactful, very emotional day because my teammate and I, along with guys from 2 other schools, actually went to the bone marrow transplant floor. So went around to rooms of kids who were struggling with bone cancer and, just tried to be a little, bright spot in what is obviously a very difficult time, and it's it was hard to do, and there's so many things that they want you to not mention, which are just so it's just very emotional stuff. But it was once in a lifetime experience, obviously, to get to be that person that puts a little smile on their face.
And did it give you a little perspective about, as much as things are important, putting in perspective about what's truly important in this life?
Yeah, somebody at the following media day event asked about the pressures that we face as student athletes and as athletes, and that you realize that really the things that we put pressure on ourselves they're not real pressure. Like you hope you get like a good job coming out of school, or you hope you do good at your job, or, all these things. But there's 5-year-olds fighting for their literal lives in the hospital, and you're like, these things don't really matter that much. I'd love for them to happen, but at the end of the day, I have my health. Everybody in my family's healthy. All my friends are healthy. I don't really have that much to be upset about.
Absolutely. Great perspective. In terms of athletics, what do you take from the field and apply towards career? I mean, some parallels maybe that you saw during your internship about some of the skill sets that athletics brings.
The first one I would say is being on time. I've always noticed that I like to show up early to things, and that football has really been what's instilled that in me. I still have a recurring dream where I'm late to a football practice or game, and I wake up in a panic. So that punctuality has been big, but in addition, work ethic, I think that's massive. I think there's so many people that there's absolutely other ways to get a good work ethic, but sports are such an easy way to accomplish that. You're just so used to, what other people might call work or a grind, seems like nothing to you, which has been very nice. I think kind of adaptability, like I mentioned, or ways to figure out multiple ways to accomplish a task. If maybe, your first idea doesn't work, okay, then, we'll try this, classic halftime adjustment type thing. That's really all I can think of off the top of my head.
No,
I'm sure there's more. I mean, it's taught me practically everything I know. So whatever I'm doing, it's taught me,
Yeah, no, I like the analogy of a halftime adjustment. I tell you what, we're making lots of them in motion, depending on need, depending on what the client wants, and sometimes what they think they want, but then they change in midstream. So it's all part of the adjustment process. The adaptability, as you spoke about before, is critical in what we do and how we serve clients. So that's extremely important. Okay, last question I have for you, then I'll let you run. 5 years from now, if you're able to lead some internship programs or guide some interns, what do you tell those students?
What do I tell them? That's a great question. I love that question. I think the first thing I would tell them is to kind of put your nose down and work, that doesn't go unnoticed, that you can be, maybe you're not like the smartest or the brightest, especially like as somebody like me going to mines, there's like real life geniuses in my classrooms with me. And I didn't ever have to experience that in high school, being like the dumb guy in class that nobody wants to get partnered with. So, like a good attitude and a good work ethic will absolutely take you a long way, even if you don't, maybe don't know the best answer. But being able to find that answer and get it to whoever's asking you is massively beneficial. I would say at the same time, I say keep your nose down, keep your head up. That it's not the end of the world. Maybe if this internship doesn't go great, or if it doesn't parlay itself into a job offer, which is what most people are expecting and hoping for. That's not the end of the world. That it was beneficial experience, that you learned something, that you got educated, you made the connections. Which, everybody knows it's all in who you know, and you're better for it. Even if it doesn't turn into a job here, you'll be able to turn into a job somewhere else.
I love it, man. That's excellent advice. I mean, that's advice we give ourselves all the time as we change jobs and change careers, because that's just part of the career path nowadays, where people are sticking with one job for 20 years. That's very rare, and it's going to continue to be less and less possible to do that. So, no, great advice. Do you think that your GPA at Mines will end up being higher than our CEO, Brian Carruthers' GPA?
Ooh. I don't know what his GPA was. I think I'm gonna have to go with the humility route and say no, probably not.
That's a good.
Considering he's the CEO, and I was most recently just the intern, I'm gonna say his GPA is probably a little bit higher. I also don't know what he studied.
Hey, let me give you a hint. Doesn't matter. Just
probably.
Well, man, I really appreciate you spending some time with us today and being a part of our Anser family. I'm not going to tease too much. We still have some things in the works, you and I and some of our Anser folks, and we're hoping that we can reveal some of that in the near future, but I'm not going to give any more away than that. But yes, but I appreciate your time, man, and thank you so much just for being a great leader for your college, your teammates, and also for the future workforce, man. Thank you so much.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on, and thank you for the opportunity to intern with you guys this summer. It was a great opportunity. Hope to be with you guys in the future.
Pleasure's ours, man.
Produced by Podcast Architects.